Hello and welcome to the After Credits podcast, where we talk about movies. And we've been doing the Countdown to Infinity. And, Ryan, I feel kind of conflicted because everyone else got to see Black Panther this week. It just came out. As of recording, world premiere. But for us, when this goes live, it'll be in theaters. And we'll be talking about this fucking movie.
Man, I'm still waiting on my dashiki to come in so I can go to opening day, just decked out to the nines in African attire. I really want to.
You saw the headlines, right? Everyone's loving it. It looks great.
Everybody looked so good at the premiere. I was just, damn. Donald Glover came out in an orange suit. I was loving it. I'm sorry.
I'll say as much.
I also heard the movie was really, really good.
Oh yeah, no, I've heard positive things all around. I'll say as much. I think it'll have a similar thing to Spider-Man Homecoming, where I don't think I'm the target audience, but I'm still interested, and I'm very happy to know that they're targeting other audiences. I cannot wait to see how that turns out. I'm excited to see where this goes. So, fingers crossed. If you guys already saw it, don't spoil it in the comments below. We will be talking about Black Panther the week Infinity War comes out. I have already scheduled it out. That's when that episode's releasing. Just cool your jets, bros. Just cool your jets.
We'll get there. We will try to. We're gonna try and recover the initial hype that we had when we saw it initially, because I know I'm personally gonna lose my fucking mind when I go see Black Panther.
Oh yeah, I'm trying to hold back the new movie bias by hoping that we can delay that video off a few weeks, but we'll see what happens.
Yeah.
So I skipped our introduction because I wanted to give a little disclaimer there. But guys, welcome to the After Credits cast. We can be underwhelming and forgettable too. We do it every week. We are Dr. Aaron Selfick. And with me, Ryan, I'm sorry, I don't have a better name for you this week because this movie didn't have a lot of options, so you're Ryan the Collector.
That's alright. I'm cool.
I'm disappointed with Max, though. I had him as Maxakith the Accursed, and he should have been here, damn it!
Oh, Max! You're missing all these names! God damn it.
I know. I feel like Max is just dead, and we'll have to move on without him.
Probably.
I mean, hopefully his death wasn't a prank either, but we'll see.
God damn. Beep, 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 beep.
In case anyone's wondering what that's all about, you'll find out here in a few minutes. So Ryan, how have you been in the week since we've recorded Iron Man 3? You feel like you've recovered a little bit?
I have recovered a little bit. It's actually I want to take this time to reiterate just how much fun I'm having with this podcast. Not only because, podcasting with you is fucking hilarious and fun,
thank you.
But also going back and taking kind of a deeper look at the MCU and kind of rewatching everything and like actually sitting down and thinking about why stuff worked, why it didn't, and kind of tracking the MCU's growth. It's really, really interesting to take a look at some of these movies that I haven't seen in so long and to compare them with, I don't know, I feel like not enough time has to call it nostalgia, but to compare it to the initial excitement I had when I saw it in theaters. So I'm having a ball.
And that's why in the beginning I also mentioned we were going to hold off Black Panther because of the whole newness bias. I think it's going to happen with any movie you see right away. You're going to be hyped for it. You're going to think it's the best one, or maybe not even the best, but you're just going to like it a lot more in that initial viewing. Because you have all the hype of the trailers, the hype of the audience, the hype of just getting to see it the first time. But going back and seeing it with a more analytical approach and seeing them all one by one and seeing how they compare and stack to the greater Marvel mythos, there's definitely something to be said about that. So I'm having a lot of fun with this too. I'm looking forward to getting to some of the movies coming up. Winter Soldier's next week, and then we also have Guardians right after that. I know you love Winter Soldier. I'm going to be a proponent for Guardians. I think we're going to have a fight here coming soon.
The Winter Soldier, though! Okay.
we're going to have a fight coming soon. But
we will.
Before we get to that fight, we have to struggle through another movie. And when I say struggle, I should clarify. I liked Iron Man 3. I liked Thor Dark World. I know that neither of them hold up quite as well as the next two movies we're going to be doing. But they have their purpose in place, and I think that neither of them are bad overall in terms of like movies in general, but in the MCU, they are probably among the weaker half for sure.
See, and now this is actually where I'm gonna. Well, of course I agree with everything you just said, but I feel like I did struggle with Iron Man 3. I actually liked the Dark World more than I thought I would. Not as much as when I went to go see it in theaters, of course, because it doesn't. You're right, it doesn't really hold up as well, but I was actually kind of pleasantly surprised at how well it actually held up.
Well,
it has its faults, but yeah.
And like I said prior to the podcast, those who are listening obviously didn't hear it. I'm of two minds of this film. It's got some stuff that works and some stuff that doesn't, and we're going to talk about that here today and see where we land on this one. This is an interesting movie in that regard.
Yeah, definitely.
But let's knock some stats out of the way real quick, Ryan. So I have a release date of November 8th, 2013. The director is Alan Taylor. He was not the first pick, as I remember correctly. But he was the one they ended up with. I believe he also directed some Game of Thrones episodes. I don't know which ones, but I know he did. The writers for this movie were Christopher Marcus, Stephen McFeely, and Christopher Yost. I believe McFeely is on a couple other movies as well. I don't remember which ones. I think he was on Iron Man 3 and maybe the next one.
Wasn't he like a high school history teacher way back in the day?
He might have been. Let's see.
Shouts out to my Boy Meets World guys.
I get you. That one went over my head there for 2 seconds.
I gotcha.
We have a cast here, of course. We have some familiar faces and a couple new faces. We have Chris Hemsworth leading the charge with Natalie Portman.
Guy.
Tom Hiddleston, my man crush, I would imagine. Anthony Hopkins returns for a little bit. Idris Elba, Stellan Skarsgård. We also have Christopher Eccleston, and Kat Dennings makes a return as well. Oh, Christopher Eccleston. What happened, man? What happened?
I'm so mad. Oh, God.
We have some numbers to hit real quick. The opening box office numbers were 85,737,000. The domestic total was 206,362,000. And ending this up with the worldwide, we have 644,571,000. That's a good chunk of change.
Yeah.
This actually lands Thor Dark World. Last I checked was the number 12 spot as of 2013. It's behind Star Trek Into Darkness and just above World War Z.
Oh, okay.
And then on the MCU scale, it's number 13.
I'm definitely interested. I mean, it's always interesting to hear the stats, but it's hard for me to keep track, keep a good basis for comparison in mind when I'm hearing the worldwide gross, because it all sounds like a shit ton of money, and the MCU is just a cash cow that's making people fucking stupidly rich. So every time I hear it, I'm just like, damn, that's a lot of money. How does it compare to the others? I don't know.
Well, and with that in mind, too, now that they have, or at least they should be having, the Fox properties rolling in soon enough, I'm wondering how much more money they tend to make. Or will intend to make with all that. But we'll discuss more of that when we get to the Spider-Man episode, because we need to fill some space in that one.
Yes, I'm ready for that.
Alright. So, Ryan, if you're ready, I have a synopsis here for you.
Alright, okay. I gotta not drink while I listen to this nonsense.
Yep, I gave Ryan a special task this episode, everybody, so just, if you don't hear him do his part, I want you to flay him when you see him in the streets.
Yep, do it.
Fresh off his victory on Earth, Thor is trotting around the Nine Realms, taking names and kicking ass, and he's all out of ass. With the Warriors 3 and Sif, he attempts to bring order to the Nine Realms after Loki's excellent adventure. Speaking of which, our favorite prankster is imprisoned on Asgard, making his mama sad. Back on Earth, Kat Dennings finds Jane, on a date by the way, because the MacGuffin radar found a Dragon Ball. I mean an Infinity Stone. but they don't know it yet. The stone is more like an ooze, which clings to Jane like a symbiote on a Spider-Man villain. This awakens our villain, Malekith, or Maxakith, or whatever you want to call him, and his army of misfit minions. Thor's sexy senses tingling, meaning Jane is in danger. He flies to her and abducts her with little explanation. Odin wants no part in this and wants to send Jane home before he gets pranked. Before that matter can be settled, the Keebler elves attack Asgard for Jane and the cookies. The prisoners are released except for Loki, and Mrs. Odinson is killed, causing Loki to experience human emotions. Odin works to strengthen his defenses, but Thor wants more DPS and decides to free Loki so he can take Thor and Jane to Malekith to remove the Infinity MacGuffin. Space car chase and exciting effects happen, taking them to a planet more boring than Tatooine. Loki helps Thor prank Malekith, but he's having none of your pranks, bro. He steals the Infinity MacGuffin and returns to Earth to start his plan to do a thing. I think something about turning off the lights. Thor and Jane mourn the loss of Loki, failing to see his pranking them now too. They return to the B-plot where Kat Dennings has captured a mad Selvig, who is thinking with portals. They set up the final fight scene moments before Malekith's pimping ride arrives.
Oh my god.
Thor and Malekith fight while the convergence to merge the Korraverse and the Marvelverse happen. But Malekith is disposed of quickly and the day is saved. The Infinity MacGuffin is taken to the Guardians of the Galaxy characters you'll see in a few movies. Odin tells Thor he doesn't want to have to be king, and they mourn Loki, the loss of Loki before Thor leaves. But the camera pans back to Odin, and we see that we all just got hashtag pranked, bro. See you in Ragnarok.
I'm enjoying these more and more each time I hear them.
I have a lot of fun just trying to shove in references. I didn't have any political stuff this week, and I feel bad, but there wasn't anything good this week for political stuff. Oh
god. You know, this is doing good for taking my mind off politics, so that's fine. That's fine.
That's fine.
It's okay.
No, there was no discussions of buttons this week, so we're fine. Ryan, now that we're at the end of the synopsis here, what do you think of the movie?
So this is it's really interesting to watch it again, and like I said earlier, I was pleasantly surprised at actually how much I liked the movie. That's not to say that it's definitely one of the
movie ever, right? Greatest movie ever.
Yeah, of course. No. No, it's definitely one of the weakest films in the MCU, but I feel like it wasn't because the movie itself had any major missteps. I really liked escalating the kind of cosmic sense with all of the ships and space combat and like the combat and the flying nonsense. The invasion of Asgard I thought was a fantastically shot scene. All the action was fantastic. I loved the design of the Dark Elves, and I felt like the action and like drama of it was good, was really well done. But the biggest thing that I realized was missing in the movie was the humor, honestly.
It has sparse moments in very few places, but it's not enough, and it really kind of stands out that they were trying to make this film darker, and it doesn't quite fit Thor like it should, or like humor does.
Right. I mean, I appreciate, me personally, my personal, like, what I look for in movies and what I really enjoy are serious storylines. And because of that, there were a lot of beats in this movie that were really good, but you have to intersperse those with good humor. And I feel like Marvel movies Marvel movies specifically are fantastic because they keep you engaged with a lot of crazy-ass action, amazing special effects, great stories, and fantastic humor that's just an undercurrent. And I feel like they hit a lot of those points, but they really missed the humor mark. They just didn't really input it. And this is what's really going to surprise you, because one of, if not my favorite bit of this movie is Loki. It's actually Loki.
So I was going to bring that up, actually. So we've mentioned in the first Thor movie the chemistry between Hiddleston and Hemsworth's characters is spot on amazing. And I think this film takes it to another level in just the right way. One of the best scenes, in my opinion, is just after they get Loki out of his cell, and you see him walking down the hall with Thor, and he just transforms into different things. And it's just... It's just perfect Loki, right?
Yes. Now, I would argue that I didn't really I feel like the general chemistry between Hiddleston and Hemsworth was great, but I felt like the character chemistry was off. And that wasn't really due to the actors, but rather the writing, because I personally think that Loki is just an overdramatic little bitch, and he's but I feel like in Thor 1, Loki is either putting on a super facade where he's just, oh, well, I am this really calm and wise person, and he's trying to practice patience and whatnot, up until he switches over and is like, no, I'm actually plotting on killing everyone because my parents never really loved me, although they did, but fuck that, never mind. So I felt it was too ridiculous and too kind of melodramatic-y, but in this movie, I feel like it's more relaxed, and I feel like we're seeing real Loki for the first time.
Which is kind of funny when you think about it.
Yes, it is. It's hilarious. And he's super smarmy and snarky. And in the midst of all of that comedic stuff that he's doing, there are those pinpoint moments of real emotion where his mother's visiting him in prison, and he's joking, and then she mentions his father, and then he screams, "He's not my father!" And it's the sparsity of those moments that make it feel real, instead of it just being the overarching, oh my god, I'm super dramatic because everybody is out to get me and I should be the rightful king. But if you get those pinpoint moments where his snarky facade cracks and you see the hurt Loki for just a split second, that's what makes it better for me.
And one of the most powerful scenes of that is right after Freya dies and he gets the news and he just loses his shit in the cell, and then when you come back to him later and Thor's visiting him, he has his facade on again, oh hey brother, how's it going? Things are great here. And that's when Thor's like, I can see through this. Tell me the truth. And then that's when he drops the illusion. You see that Loki is a broken shell of what he was. He is pissed off and wants to do something about it. And it's a good character development. It's good setting up the plot coming up forward. It just does so much. And I think that Tom Hiddleston really found a good groove this film.
I wholeheartedly agree. Loki, Loki's sheer presence in this movie, every time Loki shows up, saves the movie for me. It makes it really enjoyable, to the point where there was throughout that entire battle, and we go a long time without seeing Loki, I was like, man, when's Loki gonna show up? Damn. And then as soon as he shows up, you get this really impactful character moment where he's like, yeah, he's broken because he knows that he caused the death of his mother, and he doesn't really know how to deal with that, so he's just pain and rage and depression. But then when they're escaping, he's all jokes and smiles again, to the point, and he's able to add everything that the movie needed, but it needed it from somewhere else. He can't carry the whole movie on his back, but he damn sure tried.
No, he can't, and that leads to some of the big problems. So, Loki was a fantastic villain in the previous two movies we've seen him in, and here he is again, but he's not playing the villain, he's playing a side character. And that's not a bad thing, but when your villain is Malekith the Accursed, and he's not carrying his half of the film, you have to wonder where things went wrong.
You want to talk about Malekith the Accursed? You want to talk about that guy? I'm so mad. Like, honest, like, so I said earlier that I love the design of the Dark Elves, and I do. I love how they look on screen. I love the fact that their eyes are black with, like, shining blue eyes. I thought that was a great fucking design choice, and I love whoever came up with that. And I love the way their language sounds. So everything, like, setting up the Dark Elves, I thought was fucking cool as hell. Malekith was the biggest letdown I ever did see.
And I'm not sure why he was so bad. Like, I like, we can look and see the technical reasons to, like, you know, he didn't really have any charisma on the screen, he didn't do this, he didn't do that. But I have to wonder what decisions were made to put him in that position.
So, I want to say it's the equal fault of the writing and the actor. And to Chris, like, to give Chris Eccleston some leeway, like, the writing, like, points his interpretation of the character as being this, like, dour, grim, like, essentially freedom fighter whose, like, sole purpose is to destroy the world, like is to destroy the Nine Realms and bring it back to darkness because he's essentially damn near the last of his kind. But Malekith is not supposed to be that. You know what Malekith is supposed to be? Malekith is supposed to be the snarky, overly evil version of Loki. That's what he's supposed to be.
So Loki
he's
cranked
supposed
to 11.
He's supposed to. Yeah, he's Loki cranked to 11, but still done in a believable way. He's this beacon of charisma that you know would not hesitate to stab you for a second in order to further his goals. That's who Malekith is, but they changed that and, like, to reflect this dark overtone. Like, he should have had some comedic points to him, but they just decided he was going to be hyper serious, and because he didn't have anything to really make his character stand out, he just came off as, like, super moody dark elf that wants to destroy the world for some reason.
He came off stiff as a board. It just felt really...
He really did.
Yeah. And it kind of sucks, too, because I'm going to harp on the Earth's Mightiest Heroes cartoon show again real quick, but there's an episode that he's actually in where he steals the Casket of Ancient Winters and gets New York all under a giant, like, blizzard. And the whole episode's really good. It even has Iron Man come in to save the day because, of course, Malekith's weakness is Iron Man's iron. So, it's a really cool idea, and I think had they played around with that idea more, maybe doing a crossover instead of just a straight Thor film, and maybe making Malekith less of a cardboard cutout, you could have had a very good film here. But they just didn't deliver with it, and I'm not sure why they thought this was a better idea, but I guess maybe they thought Loki's personality would be enough to make the films survive, and I don't think it did. I don't think it was enough anyway. I think the focus on Loki reminds you just how much better a villain we could have had.
Honestly, I feel like, and this is one of the things that I love coming back and, like, doing this, like, kind of analytical rewatch of the MCU. I feel like Phase 2 was really a place for experimentation. Like, they did a good bit of origin stories in Phase 1, and they knocked it out of the park in most of the cases, and it all came together in Avengers, and it was fantastic. And they said, okay, in Phase 2, let's try some new stuff out. So, I honestly don't know what the fuck they were doing in Iron Man 3, because it was really irrelevant of a movie. But I feel like in the Dark World, they tried to ratchet the seriousness up. They said, okay, let's see what happens when we kind of put aside the games and we focus on the seriousness and the action of it. And I feel like they got the beats of seriousness done right. Like, the the storyline between Thor and Loki, especially after he breaks Loki out and they they go to the Dark World to try and implement this plan, I thought was the first real moment that I believed they were brothers. I mean, they had the childish bickering going back and forth, and then they had the real serious, intense moment when they were in the Dark World, and they were, like, about to come to blows because they were both torn up about their mother's death, but they couldn't really express it correctly.
Well,
and how Thor was like, I wish I could trust you. I'm like, these are good moments. These are fantastic moments.
Well, to counter your argument, to counter your point there, I'm not trying to disagree, but I think I've always felt that they've been brothers, but I think the first film was more that they were under the watchful eye of parents and they had to be on their best behavior. This film, the parents are kind of occupied, one being dead and one starting a war with Malekith. So they're a little more free to take off their masks and be a little more, I don't know, sibling-ish with rivalries and crap and bickering. So you get to see the kids' gloves come off, and it's the next film when they both, for lack of a better word, grow up and they have to go out in the world on their own. And we're going to have some fun with that one.
So I don't know. I feel like I disagree in terms of like the first movie, like the Thor. But that's largely because I just wasn't a fan of Loki in the first movie. I feel like the facade he was putting up was too phony. I am too good. He's too wise of a person, and and I didn't really feel like a real sense of like brotherly struggle. Now, granted, I'm an only child, so I'm probably not the authority on how siblings act.
So that's where I come in. I had a brother, and let me tell you, whenever one of us was causing trouble and the parents were suddenly back home, we were shoving things away. We were kind of just standing up straight, trying to be in our best behavior, be like, no, nothing happened, nothing at all. What'd you think that for? When in truth, we were probably bickering and arguing, fighting about some dumb shit. So,
but that's the thing. Like, you never got to see them bicker and argue even away from like Odin. Like there were scenes where it was Loki and Thor and the Warriors 3. Or, like, when Loki comes up to Thor and convinces him, hey, I think you're right. We really should go over to fucking the ice realm and start some shit with the ice giants. But, Father said that we shouldn't, so we really shouldn't. Oh, no, wait, no, you should come back. We shouldn't disobey Father's orders. And I felt like that was away from everything, yet it's still obviously Loki just playing Thor.
I mean,
it's obviously a facade.
Let's be real here, though. Were they ever really away from Odin when they have Heimdall watching everything they do? But this argument's a little tangential, though.
I'm sorry, but the fact remains, I loved what they did with Loki's storyline. I love what they did with Thor's storyline, honestly. And I actually kind of want to talk about that for a little bit.
I was going to say, before we get to the other stuff, let's move on to Thor real quick. So tell me what you think about Thor's part of the story here.
So I ultimately loved the direction they went with it, with him taking on a more serious role. I felt like it fit his character arc because we've been telling this story of Thor growing up, ever since the original one, and trying to learn from his father and learn his wisdom. I feel like they might have overcorrected just a little bit. He was just a little too serious and not fun. And we had in-story character reasons for that because ultimately he was missing his human girlfriend. Sure, okay, but I overall like that he shows so much wisdom. I love how far he's come from Thor 1, and the big character moment that really blew my mind was actually between him and Odin after Frigga dies, and Thor is proposing an idea that on the offset sounds really risky because it's just him taking a small group to attack Malekith, or essentially draw Malekith away so he could take him on so he could take him on by himself. But his reasoning is so different from Thor 1. In Thor 1, he wanted to go off and fight them dudes because they disrespected us and we need to show them that we're not to be trifled with. But here, he's actually, like, his main concern is the safety of everybody in Asgard, because they have no way of detecting the Dark Elves. Heimdall can't even see them, and the next time they show up, they're going to destroy the entire kingdom just to look for Jane, and his plan is to essentially take Jane off-world so that he draws Malekith away from the people of his kingdom. And that's a really huge beat, whereas Odin, who's pissed because his wife is dead, and who's ultimately trying to destroy the enemy that his father destroyed, and ultimately trying to live up to his father's ideal, is putting everybody in danger. And that kind of sounds like how Thor was acting in the first movie. So I thought that was a really awesome parallel that they did, while showing just how wise Thor has become. I really love that. I loved that shit. Oh my god.
It's nice to see that bit of character growth in there. Definitely because, like I said, we got to see Thor become worthy last movie, and now we get to see him show just how worthy he really is. The movie even starts with him fighting a battle to help kind of quell some of the chaos left in Loki's wake across the Nine Realms. And it's a small scene, but it just shows that, you know, he's still out there fighting. But the fact of the matter is that he is taking it upon himself to go out and handle this. I mean, yes, he's got the help of the Warriors 3 and Sif, but he's trying to handle it. He's trying to fix the problems, and it's not simply because he wants to battle. It's because he knows it's the right thing to do, and you see it carried throughout the whole film that he is trying to come at things a different way than before. And it's a nice, refreshing look at him.
Absolutely, and especially with like the huge thing that they ended on. Like, or at least the reason why he couldn't go see Jane was because he destroyed the Bifrost,
which they never really explain.
Well, I mean, all you really need to know is that the Bifrost is fixed. Like at the beginning of the movie, yes, the Bifrost is fixed. You get the idea that the Bifrost has been fixed for a long time because they're using it to jump from realm to realm and help shit. But you're wondering, why hasn't he gone back to Earth? He obviously misses Jane. What the fuck? Like, and the Bifrost is fixed. What's he doing? And it's revealed that he's been running around helping to restore order to the Nine Realms. Like, he has the obvious option and path to go and hang out with his girl, but he himself chooses to actually, like, to take his responsibility to the kingdom that much more seriously, which is why it's been 2 years, and the only reason that he goes to Earth is when Heimdall can't see her, because she got the fucking ether. So,
if I may quote my favorite rice company, with great power comes great responsibility.
Thanks, Uncle Ben.
That's some damn good rice.
That's really good rice. But I love that beat. I love that I love Thor's character growth. There are a lot of good things done very well in this movie. It's just the lack of certain vital things that really relegates it from being great to meh.
And again, I'll point to the Phase 2 problem I've had since we discussed it last week. While Malekith shows up and threatens Earth and threatens all the Nine Realms, it's a little odd that no one else comes to Thor's aid to help him out. Especially considering how big an event it is, you'd think someone would notice, like Iron Man and all of his surveillance technology, and be like, "Oh, Thor's got some trouble in London, huh? Give me 5 minutes, I'll be there in a minute." You know, something like that. S.H.I.E.L.D. even, I don't know. But
that's fair.
It's just another Phase 2 problem I'm having, and I think I think I don't have the problem with Phase 3, because that starts off with Civil War, and that makes sense why no one shows up to help anybody, because they're all fighting right now. But in Phase 2, there's really not that excuse, and I'm trying to figure out a logical way to get around that, aside from just that, they couldn't afford to have Robert Downey Jr. be in another movie.
Well, okay, so the huge events of the Dark World mostly happen off-world. They mostly happen in Asgard, they happen on Svartalfheim, and it's like the only things that really happen on Earth are Jane finds some weird portal shit, Eric goes fucking crazy.
I love that little that little C plot with Eric Selvig. Like, just
honestly, I hated it. Honestly,
I thought it was hilarious when he's just like buck naked through Stonehenge and all that. I thought it was hilarious.
But the thing is, I felt like Eric deserved more than that. Honestly, Eric is one of my favorite characters in the original movie. He's obviously a really brilliant person, and he got shat on by Loki in the Avengers when he got fucking taken over and essentially driven crazy. But I felt like they turned him into a comedic plot device, and it didn't really work for me personally, honestly.
I hear you. I had a good laugh with it, but I totally get where you're coming from.
So I don't know. I mean, but you had that. Honestly, like you didn't have a lot of stuff going on Earth until Malekith showed up in Greenwich and was like, "Yo, we're here to fuck shit up," and just like, wait, what?
That actually brings me to an important question here. So I think when we discussed the original Thor movie, we made a big point that while it's a fantasy movie, it didn't contain a lot of fantasy elements, largely because it was on Earth quite a bit. This one, obviously, not on Earth as much. Do you think it has a fair enough share of fantasy elements, or do you think it still needs more, less? What do you think?
I thought it was great. I loved the fact that they took since they did it largely off Earth, they took the opportunity to really kind of meld the fantasy aspects that they were going for with the cosmic stuff that they were going to build too. I thought that was a smart decision on like how design stuff works, because you got to see a lot more of Asgard, which really got your mythological like golden city aspects and all that really cool stuff. But then you also had the Dark Elves showing up with fighters that are kind of designed to be like swords so that they can cut down buildings, which was fucking ridiculous. And then you had a final fight that they were traversing through the 9 realms, getting teleported in the midst of their combat. So I felt they did a really smart decision with the fantasy aspect.
Oh, yeah.
Definitely.
There's definitely a lot of stuff to love here. The portal fight was just a great spectacle all around. As silly as it was, it's definitely a good spectacle. Do we want to move on to review roundup, or is there anything else you want to add to this breakdown?
So there's one more thing that really kind of pissed me off. I did not believe the Aether was an Infinity Stone. Honestly, I really didn't.
Like I said in the synopsis, it felt more like a symbiote or Ivan Ooze.
But I mean,
oh god! Imagine if Ivan Ooze was the Infinity Stone.
Oh my god! Now, I would have preferred Ivan Ooze to Malekith. Sorry. I would have got some chuckles out of it. But
I would have loved it. It would be great. Well, we get Ivan Ooze at X-Men Apocalypse. If that makes you feel better.
Yeah. God. Oh man, I'll have to rewatch that. That'll just make me giggle. But I felt like if you think back to all the other Infinity Stones that we've seen on screen, like the Mind Gem, which dude was literally like brainwashing people with a touch, ends up creating Ultron and ultimately Vision, who's like one of the most powerful Avengers to date. So that's that you can believe that is an Infinity Stone. The Tesseract being able to open portals across light years and like trigger a full-scale invasion of Earth. That's definitely an Infinity Stone.
The Time Stone is a great example.
The Time stone. Like, literally, he controls all of time. Like, the power stone, which is shown to fucking disintegrate a planet as soon as a dude touches it. Like, damn. These are objects of power. What does the ether do? Like, well, honestly, so dude,
So the ether is supposed to be the reality stone. I'm gonna look up real quick exactly what that's supposed to entail, because I'm not 100% sure. It seems kind of vague to me.
I mean, anything that says the reality stone to me, means that should be a terrifying thing where he can start bending reality to his fucking will.
So according to Marvel Wikia, the reality gem allows its user to alter reality to what one wants or break the laws of reality and logic, such as making 2 + 2 5, as well as the laws of physics. Minor uses allow one to resurrect the dead, distort reality around someone so it is incomprehensible, or other things that would normally be impossible. More powerful uses allow one to create any type of alternate reality one wishes. Think House of M, but not exactly. At its peak, when backed by the other gems, it allows one to alter reality on a universal scale.
Yeah,
they didn't really portray that very well.
Malekith uses it to throw shadow spires at Thor multiple times, and Thor kind of shrugs it off with Mjolnir.
I want to believe. I want to believe that the convergence we saw in the final battle was partially sped up or enhanced by the Infinity Stone, but we don't really have a good explanation or reason to believe that. It's just a speculation I have.
And here, and that's another thing that got me, because Malekith literally has to wait until all 9 realms are aligned in order to use this ether to destroy the unit, to essentially send the universe and convert it to dark matter. Eric once says in the movie that with each realm the aether touch comes into contact with, its power will grow exponentially. So okay, that's understandable, but the fact of the matter is that Malekith was in possession of an Infinity Stone, and Thor was able to fight him one-on-one with Mjolnir. In fact, he fights him a good amount of the time without Mjolnir, because he gets teleported away from it, and he's still able to survive. And the dude has an Infinity Stone in his veins. What?
Well, like you said, it's partly because the Infinity Stone didn't have contact with enough worlds to gain power, and when it was locked away for so long, I imagine its power was mitigated to some extent. I can see Thor being able to go toe-to-toe with it. It's not the power stone that makes him impossible to stop. It's just but yeah, there's a lot of leaps of logic you were expected to make that work.
I don't know. I just felt like the Aether was not powerful enough to be considered an Infinity Stone. Now, they haven't done anything with the Ether since the Dark World. So it's possible that they'll revisit it in a future movie and be like, oh, well, the Aether is actually the distilled form of the Reality Stone, so if you condense it all into one gem, then holy shit, its power is regained, or some shit like that.
Huh,
maybe.
A future movie, you say, huh? It certainly wouldn't be a movie that we're going to be talking about anytime soon, right, Ryan? Hint?
I'm probably not. No, we'll probably never see the Reality Stone again. Never mind Infinity Wars coming up. Of course
we'll probably never see Infinity Stone again as long as we live.
Yeah, no, that's it. Why are we even talking about Infinity Stones? Why is this podcast called Countdown to Infinity again?
I have no idea. I thought it was catchy. I don't know how to do math either.
So, I don't know. That's my personal gripe with it, because, honestly, if you have a movie that introduces a new Infinity Stone, that should be,
a big deal.
That should be, mind-blowing and, groundbreaking stuff in the MCU, but it's a MacGuffin. That's exactly, you said it right. The MacGuffin Raider picked it up. It's a fucking MacGuffin.
Gotta get them Dragon Balls.
We ended up just putting it in a little box with a red stripe on it and giving it off to the fucking collector, because that's smart.
Well, don't worry, we'll see him again very soon. Before we get to the review roundup, I want to give you a quick trivia fact. So, Ryan, Loki's a very important character within the MCU, and within Marvel Comics, actually. Did you know that while he has never possessed all six Infinity Stones at the same time, he has had all of them at one point or another. Never getting them all at once, but always close to, like, he's always had at least one at some point. You know, it's just...
I believe that. I definitely believe that.
It's just amazing how close he's always has been to being, like, the most powerful thing, and yet he's never been close enough. Let's do some reviews here. So the Tomato Meter shows a 66% review score for critics, 77% for audiences. So it's not in the rotten section, but it's definitely a B movie or lower for most people.
I'm really interested to hear what the critics are saying, because the fact that the critics held it in such low esteem while the moviegoers rated it higher. The last couple movies we've reviewed, the critics have held it just a little higher than the normal folk, so I'm interested in hearing this.
Well, I think that at this point the critics are starting to get a little maybe worn down from the Marvel juggernaut that it is, because it shows no sign of stopping, and it's definitely a series that to a critic might come off more as a money-making machine than a critically successful machine. You know what I mean? Like, they're more about art house films and not so much about the big budget stuff. So, reviews I got here from Tom Hiddleston of the Time Out magazine, I believe.
I was about to say, wait, what? Loki reviewed his own film? What?
I think I used Tom Hiddleston the last Thor review as well, because I like the reference there. Most of what worked in Thor works again. Hiddleston is campy and treacherous. Hemsworth is a puppy dog, keen, and there's a nice line in knowing the jokery. 3 out of 5. Dave Edelstein, don't know how you pronounce that. Sometimes the balance is off and the movie tilts into camp. Kat Dennings as Portman's high-strung assistant is an irritant. But when all is said and is disintegrated, it delivers. At these prices, it better.
Oh God!
Let's go to a negative review. Let's go to a couple negative reviews. Those are positive reviews, by the way.
Those were positive reviews. God damn them.
From Kyle Smith of the New York Post. If Lord of the Rings was ancient legends sifted through the sensibility of an Oxford professor of Anglo-Saxon studies, then Thor: The Dark World is a grand North myth run through the minds of a 9-year-old.
Damn! Oh shit! Okay. That's a sick burn right there.
I like this review here. This is good. Leslie Felperin from Hollywood Reporter. Too much hammer time, not enough fun, except when Loki's on screen. It's fair. It's fair.
That's fair.
I'll do one more because that was a short one there. Let's go with one that was on review day. How about that? Let's see. We have what's one of the names I've been going to recently? I don't see him on here anymore. That's weird. Let's go with Stephen Ray of the Philadelphia Inquirer. Its monsters and angry armies and visual effects are interchangeable with Peter Jackson's Tolkien picks. With Clash of the Titans, with the Avengers, with Man of Steel, and on and on.
Oof.
So, yeah, this video wasn't getting positive reviews. We can see why at the time, but looking back, I guess at the time I was definitely into the movie, so I didn't see why, but looking back I can kind of see where they're coming from. Even though I'm not 100% on board, I can see where they're coming from.
Yeah, I can, like I said, looking back, I can see I can see why I enjoyed watching it, but I can also see why I wasn't as jazzed about the movie. Like, there were definitely good aspects of it, but overall, the lack of humor and, like, the horrible fucking performance of Malekith the Accursed. Well, yeah. It brought the movie down from great to meh to forgettable, really.
I could spend this whole hour talking about Malekith, but we're running really long at the moment here, so
Sorry.
Let's move on. No, it's fine. This is a good conversation, actually. So let's move on to our next segment, which is the listener question of the week.
Yeah.
Every week we submit a question to you, our audience, and we ask you to let us know your opinions on these questions. And what was I going to say? So this week's question that we asked was, what is your favorite Marvel Cinematic TV, or I guess Marvel TV show, which is Netflix, cable, what have you, and tell us why you like it. I did get one response, Ryan. Let me just see if I can bring it up on my phone real quick.
All right.
So I'm not going to say the full name, and I'm not going to show the person's picture on the video, but there will still be the comment. This is from Amanda. But she seems very lovely. I think I want to ask her out sometime.
I wonder who is that?
I wonder. Her answer is Luke Cage and Jessica Jones are my faves. Both shows are the ones I really wanted to watch. Did not disappoint.
Those are hot picks.
Those are really good picks. Those are ones I was tempted to pick as well. But Ryan, before I go, what is your favorite Marvel Marvel show? Tell me what you got.
See, I had the obvious answer, and then you threw in the Netflix shows, and I'm like, man, fuck. Now it becomes really difficult.
I was hoping we might get more answers because I wanted someone to tell me they liked Inhumans, and I want to know why. Because I've heard...
Oh, bro. You'd have been waiting
Inhumans,
forever.
I've heard Inhumans is not good, and I want to know if there's someone out there who does like it, and if they do, I want to know why you like it. I want to know how you can like it. I don't have any... I've never seen it. So I want to know, before I get into it, or try to get into it, why you like it, guys. Someone tell me so I can figure it out, so I know what to look for. Where the good is.
please put your... If you are one of the 0.0001%, please let us know so that Aaron can get some positive feedback on the shit, alright?
I hear the number of people who like the Inhumans is the same number of people who own a PS Vita. I don't think they overlap, but I think it's the same number of people.
What's that? Shit. But damn it. Oh my god. As an overall package, I am going to have to say Daredevil.
I respect that. What do you have for that?
I love Jessica Jones in the mental, honestly, the storytelling and mental aspect. I love Luke Cage for the setting and the comedy and its exploration of black culture. Iron Fist was meh.
I thought you were going to say, I love Iron Fist because it's there.
I love Iron Fist because we had to get Danny Rand in here somewhere, and at least the only place it can go is up. That's my wishful thinking talking.
I hope so.
And I absolutely love Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. That is my show. I'm a couple episodes behind. I still have to catch up, but god damn, I've been on Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. since the beginning. That is my jam.
Now I dropped out. I dropped out after season 2. Is the season with Ghost Rider worth getting back into it for?
Yes.
Okay.
Oh my god, I was screaming. Episode 1, when he you get Ghost Rider the Ghost Rider transformation episode 1, and Jesus Christ, it looks so good. I could not believe it was on ABC. It was on TV, like normal TV. I didn't have to pay anything extra for this, and I got Ghost Rider, and it looks fucking amazing. Oh my god, please go see that.
I'll have to put that on my list, because I think I still need to see the rest of Daredevil, and I really, really want to see Punisher, because it sounds like a cool idea.
Oh my god, Punisher's fantastic. Like, I'm sorry, this is becoming why I love all the Marvel shows, but
if you had to pick one, you said Daredevil, though, right?
If I have to pick one, based on the total story, the action, the character work, everything that comes together in a great story and a great package and a great hero, I would say Daredevil.
As for me, I want to include a Marvel cartoon show because there's literally so many good ones, but...
That's fair.
But I did want to keep this to Marvel Cinematic Universes, so I'll give an honorable mention, at the very least, to... I know I say Earth Mightiest Heroes a bunch, but I'm going to say something different. I'm going to say X-Men Evolution is actually a really good cartoon show.
Yo, throwback.
It's a throwback, but it's good. And Spectacular Spider-Man, for as short-lived as it was. But if we're going to go with actual MCU shows, I have to sit with... And it's a toss-up between the two that she mentioned, actually. But I'm going to go with Jessica Jones as mine. I like a good mystery. And I love the purple guy. I know it's not purple guy. It's a fucking...
Kilgrave.
Kilgrave. I call him Purple Guy because I think he's actually like the Purple Man in the comics. Or is this the name he goes by? But I love the villain. I love the mystery. I think it does have the same Netflix problem that all the other shows do, where it kind of slows down a bit in the middle and kind of has a weird third act of the entire season. But building up to it, and when it finally does end, it's all good. It's great, and I loved it. My only hope is they somehow find a way to bring Kilgrave back, so when they get Dr. Doom into the fold, he can use Kilgrave's power to take over the world like he does in the comics and become God.
Bruh.
I know, I'm optimistic, but I can dream.
Bruh.
Speaking of villains, Ryan, speaking of villains that are not Dr. Doom, you want to know our next question for the week?
Ooh, what is it?
The next question is, and this is going to be a very broad question, because I wanted to keep it off the MCU a little bit, even though you can still use MCU answers if you'd like. What is the most underwhelming villain you've seen in any movie?
Whoa, wait. In any movie?
Considering we were not very fond of this villain for our movie this week, I thought, let's open up the door a little bit. What are other villains in any movie you've seen that also do not live up to the expectations you wanted?
Okay, so we can't use Malekith. That's the easy answer.
You can, but yes, it is an easy answer.
Okay. That will require some thought. Ooh, actually, nope, scratch that. I already know it.
I was gonna say I have a short list, but I'm looking forward to seeing which one I land on for sure.
Yeah, I already know mine.
so if you have an answer to this week's question, please be sure to leave it down in the comments below. Also, make sure you subscribe to us at evacstation. Go to email it at evacstation@gmail.com. There's also Twitter, Facebook, and Tumblr for all these answers, for all these questions. We look forward to reading them on the video or the podcast when we record next week for, I think it's supposed to be Captain America, right? Let's see. Feature films. Here we go. Let's see. Where are we at? Avengers, Iron Man 3, Thor Dark World, Captain America. Okay, so I have them in order on my outline. So next week is for sure Winter Soldier. I don't want to confuse myself later, but that's for sure. Okay.
Yes!
Cool. So Ryan, now that I've delayed us a little bit here, it's time for everyone's favorite segment, at least as I know it's my favorite. It's time for the Trivia War.
Oh, buddies!
So I have my trivia mixed up. I actually have my trivia pulled from Guardians of the Galaxy. So I'm going to go down to my Guardians of the Galaxy notes here and get my Captain America notes here. My Captain America questions. Are you ready for my Captain America questions?
Man, you are so organized and professional.
Ryan, I got to edit these on a weekly basis. I got to be organized.
I'm ready for these. All right, here we go. All right,
so my first question for you. You're going to love this one. Which senator from a previous Marvel film says Hail Hydra in this film?
Senator Stearns.
I needed to give you an easy one that you'd like, and I thought you'd like that.
That guy. Fucking Gary Shandling. I rest in peace, man. He's so good. He's so good.
Ryan, what's my easy question?
Your easy question. A famous Hydra operative appears in the stinger at the end of The Winter Soldier. What is this Hydra operative's name?
The stinger, this one. This is the same stinger that has the twins in it, right?
Uh-huh.
That would be Baron von Strucker.
You are correct, sir. Well done.
He's actually a prominent villain in Earth's Mightiest Heroes.
I keep giving you the fucking Earth Mightiest Heroes movie, like questions. God damn it.
I love it. Okay, Ryan.
I gotta stop this.
This question will be a little tricky for you. It's a number-based question, but we'll see what you get here. So, Ryan, this is a very well-known scene in the movie that everyone really loves. It's when Captain America is going down to the lower levels of the building, and a few men get on the elevator with him, and they're all hanging out. They're all wanting to get a little close, and all of a sudden a fight breaks out in this elevator. Ryan, how many dudes does Captain America beat up in this elevator scene?
God damn! Oh, that is a very good question. Fuck me.
And I actually watched the scene to make sure I got the number right. I know the exact number.
Oh shit! Oh man. Fuck. Okay, hold on. Alright. Well, I know it's at least one. I'm thinking of a number between 1 and 15. No, let's see. Fuck. Alright. So, Rumlow gets on, Rumlow gets on. I think 2 more dudes get on. I know 3 more dudes get on, at least. That's 6. It would be really, really cool. This is going to be a guess. Because every time I think about that scene, I get all amped because it's great. It's a fucking amazing scene, and I can't help but think about the moment when everybody's fucking on the ground, and he stomps and like flips the shield back onto his arm.
No, it's a great scene. It's a great scene.
I'm sorry, I'm tangenty tonight. I am going to guess that there are 8 dudes with him on the elevator. I swear to God, if I'm 1 off, I'm going to be the saltiest man.
I'm going to give you 1 point for being close. It's 10 dudes in the elevator.
Yo, it's 10 dudes? Jesus
10 dudes. I counted them. I was surprised as well. I had to go back and double check.
God damn. Okay. Damn.
I'm making you fit that many dudes in the elevator.
Seriously?
I can't imagine fitting that many dudes in the elevator and being in a comfortable fight.
Well, I mean, the fight itself is really uncomfortable, but it's fantastic.
Alright, so what's my medium question?
Alright, your medium question. This might be an easy one depending on how big of a fan you are of this other work. There is a quote on the grave of Nick Fury. Spoiler alert! At the end of the movie. What is the quote and where is it from?
Okay. I think it's from a Quentin Tarantino movie. I can't remember which one. I want to say it's Pulp Fiction. As for what the quote is, I can't remember off the top of my head. I'm gonna go with... I know it's not right, but I can't think of what the quote is off the top of my head. It's gonna be, go ahead and make my day. Wait, no, that's someone else. That's Dirty Harry. That's Dirty Harry. Fuck. I'm gonna go with say what again. I dare you. Say what again. I know it's not it, but that's all I can think of from that movie.
Alright, so I'm gonna give you a point on this one, because you are right, it is from Pulp Fiction, and you are correct for the character, because it is said by Jules Winfield, who is played by Samuel L. Jackson. But the quote is, it's called The Path of the Righteous Man, Ezekiel 25 and 17.
Right.
It's from his famous monologue that he quotes to the dude right before he fucking kills him for screwing over his boss, Marcellus Wallace. And I could probably do the whole thing from memory, but we're running long, so I won't do that.
Well, to add more time to it, I'm going to say I wish it had been the quote from Blade where he says, these motherfuckers trying to ice skate uphill.
Oh my god. Wesley Snipes, please.
I hope he comes back for the MCU. That'd be great.
Oh my god.
Question 3, Ryan, your hard question.
Oh man.
So there's a bit of a dialogue between Captain America, Black Widow, and an Agent Sitwell on the rooftop. He's mentioned a list of targets that Hydra may or may not have. Ryan, who are the targets Agent Sitwell admits to Captain America? I want at least 4 from this list.
Oh goddamn! Fuck.
I know you can get at least 2 of these.
I can get at least one of them because as soon as I heard it, I flipped my shit in the theater. The one that I know absolutely for certain is Stephen Strange. Because holy shit, Stephen Strange, yo. Okay, but all right, let's see here. I'm pretty sure Bruce Banner's at least one of them.
Yeah, it's two.
Has to be.
You're halfway there.
Let's see here. There was mention of a valedictorian in... Fuck. Where was that? Like, Ohio or something. And I remember that sticking out to me because I was wondering if they were going to tie that to Reed Richards in, like, the recent adaptation of Fantastic Four, since they were all kids.
Right.
But,
I'll say you're close, wrong place, but keep going. Keep going. There are 3 more on this list.
I'm absolutely guessing Tony Stark, because if you don't take out Tony Stark when you take over the world as Hydra, then what the fuck are you even doing? Okay. Valedictorian, Stephen Strange, Bruce Banner, Tony Stark. I'm gonna try and get one more because I know I can't place the actual place that the valedictorian's from. Fuck, I can't think of any more. I can't. Every time I think about that, all I can think of is, oh my god, they just name dropped the Sorcerer Supreme.
I was pretty impressed with that, yeah. To quote Agent Sitwell, you, a TV anchor in Cairo,
oh my
the
god,
Secretary of Defense.
Why did I not say fucking Steve Rogers? Oh my god. Oh my god.
A high school valedictorian in Iowa City. Bruce Banner, Stephen Strange.
Oh my god.
For that, Ryan, I give you 2 points.
I miss Captain America. What the fuck am I even doing with my life? You're taking pity on me, and I do appreciate it. But oh my god,
you got 2.5 answers. I was pretty impressed with that. At least I knew you'd get Stephen Strange. I wasn't sure if you'd get the city, but you at least remember there's a valedictorian in there somewhere.
I was just like, that's weird that they picked that random ass kid.
So funny story. That stood out to our group of people who watched it back in college because we lived in Iowa City, and one of our best friends is actually the valedictorian of his high school that year.
Oh, so they're like, oh god, I just coming to get him. That's so cool.
We looked at him and we're like, they're coming to get you.
Oh my god, that's fantastic. All right. Thank you for that, sir.
Yep, I couldn't resist.
All right, so for your hard question, there is a special cameo in the actually more towards the beginning of the movie with a very famous UFC MMA fighter showing up to throw some hands with good old Captain America. What is the name of this UFC champion?
I don't know crap about the UFC. Aside from the fact that the guy who plays the Green Power Ranger from the original Power Rangers is in the UFC. That's all I remember. I know he plays Lautrec the Leaper. I know that's supposed to be his character's name. Shit, UFC stuff I have no idea on. I'll have to take the hit on this one. Who is it?
The guy playing Batroc the Leaper was none other than George St. Pierre, who's UFC welterweight champion.
I never would have gotten that one. So you beat me this week by 2 points, adding a little bit more to your lead there. Let's go ahead and add that to our list here.
The pity points.
I should not have given you the pity points to that middle one.
The pity points.
Let's see. So, crap. What did I write these scores down at? Let's see. Well, okay. So, no, sorry. Last week was our first week. So, last week you had 4 and I had 3. So this week you have 8 and I have 5.
All right. Well, I mean, next week is going to be questions about Guardians, so you'll probably just wipe the floor with me.
Oh yeah, no, I already looked at my questions. I was about to ask you tonight. I'm guaranteeing you will not get them.
Golly.
All right, so with that, Ryan, it's on to our final segment, and we're not too bad on time. It's the list to determine what the top Marvel movie is of all time, ranking them from best to worst as we go through them chronologically. Our number one right now is The Avengers, and the last one, as of last week, is Iron Man 3, Dethroning the Hulk. Ryan, so what I'm looking at right now, considering that we have Thor 2 in front of us now, I'm looking at Thor. Let's start with that. Is this better or worse than the original Thor?
Oh, man.
Because that's where I've been divided at this whole time. Like, I'm looking at him like, it does certain things better, and it does a lot of things a lot worse. So I can't tell if I can really put it above or below it. I've been torn all week.
Oh, man. Thor is weird because I feel like, as far as a balance goes, it strikes a good balance. It has just enough action and serious bits and just enough humor. I just wish it had done more with both. This one, I felt like it ratcheted up the seriousness, and the serious beats were much better than Thor, but it lost all humor, goddamn near. So it's just like, ugh. Like, at this point,
I would say if you took out every moment with the Dark Elves, if you took out every moment with Malekith, I would put it above, without question. Because Loki saves it pretty good, and the moments where it really falls apart for me is definitely when Malekith is there not having any stage presence. But with him in there, I can't say for certain it's above Thor. It's really tough.
I don't know. So the way I approached it was a little differently.
Oh, yeah?
And it's for this reason alone that I put it where I think I'm gonna suggest putting it.
Okay.
I suggested putting it at number 6, underneath Iron Man 2. And the reason why is because I looked at it as a standalone film, in which case the overall average of the film is meh, because some things it did really, really well, and some things it did really bad, in which case it was just kind of uninteresting, and like to the point where I couldn't honestly remember what the fuck was going on in the movie until I watched it again. It was that forgettable. Whereas And in this movie, I actually caught myself wondering how much longer is the movie. Which is a huge sign to me, because I usually get into a movie and I don't even think about the time until it's over. And this movie had me like, Jesus, there's an hour left? What the fuck?
That's usually a question you reserve for Batman vs. Superman.
Yeah. So,
had to bring that back.
So, as a standalone movie, I found it was meh. And then I looked at its addition to the MCU.
And it does a good job adding to the MCU.
So here's my argument there. I feel like in terms of flavor and tone and a vague idea of just how big the universe is, I thought it was really good at kind of giving you like the general sense of the universe, a general cosmic sense. I thought it did really, really well. But the only concrete addition to the Infinity War saga that we're telling was the ether, and I was not sold on it as an Infinity Stone. I really wasn't. So I felt like it kind of failed in its concrete addition to the MCU. Whereas Iron Man 2, I felt like as a total movie, it was okay, and it also got to add a little more to it got to have some concrete additions to the MCU, to the saga in general. So I felt like it should be just under Iron Man 2. That's how I came at it.
Iron Man 2 has crawled up in the rankings higher than I would like it to, but...
Like, Iron Man 2 is going to be falling. Like, we're talking about two of the best movies in the next couple of weeks.
No,
Iron Man 2
I
is
know.
going to be falling.
And honestly, aside from maybe one or two other films, it's all uphill from here. So
yeah.
So no, I agree. I think I can see this one. I think you make some good arguments, and it does solve the problem I had with comparing it to Thor. In that, I do think Thor definitely carries a better balance, and while not in full agreement that Iron Man 2 is better, I do think you make a good point that if you're comparing them as sequels, Iron Man 2 does a better job carrying the story forward and connecting it to the other movies, whereas this one connects it to the other movies, but it doesn't really carry the story forward in as solid a way as Iron Man 2 did. So I'll give you points. I'll give you that one. So let's go ahead and put this at number 6, just below Iron Man 2.
Alright.
Alright, so we got a sequel hole going on here. Next week we have Winter Soldier. Let's see if we can dig ourselves out of this hole, boys. Let's see if we can do this.
It's number one. I will hold that back. I will hold that back. But
Spoilers
oh my god, Winter Soldier though.
Spoilers are, but I think Ryan's gonna rank it number 1. So
I will. Winter Soldier. Oh god.
I can hear the boner throbbing over there. It's ridiculous.
Man, it's painful, but damn.
So anyway, thank you for joining us this week on the After Credits cast. If you want to reach out to us, tell us what your favorite movie is. Make sure you reach out to us on Twitter, Tumblr, Facebook, or evacstation@gmail.com. Even the comments below, I can read the comments there and say, hey, look, so-and-so said this movie is his favorite movie. I'll read this during that episode. If you have answers to our listener questions of the week, or if you have trivia you want to submit to us to stump us for even more ridiculous questions, please submit them, again, through the same methods I mentioned just a minute ago. Next week is the Winter Soldier. Make sure you get your jackets on for this one, boys. It's going to get cold in here. So, until then, I'm Aaron.
I'm Ryan.
And we'll see you after the credits.
Bye.